Trust is a funny thing in the solar industry. In a space that should be all about sustainability and doing good for the planet, we've seen some companies cut corners, overpromise on savings, or disappear entirely when warranty issues arise. Some installers treat solar like a commodity, focusing only on price and making big claims about ROI without considering each homeowner's unique situation. Others use high-pressure tactics that feel more like you're buying a used car than making a thoughtful investment in your home's energy future. According to a 2023 consumer survey, nearly 42% of homeowners cite concerns about misleading sales tactics as a primary reason they haven't gone solar. In a market that grew over 30% last year, that's a massive pool of potential customers staying on the sidelines. These approaches might work in the short term, but we're seeing the fallout now. Customers who feel misled leave scathing reviews. Referral business dries up. In a market already facing headwinds from policy changes and economic pressure, reputation becomes everything. It becomes the currency for installers. And the installers who are thriving today are the ones who took the long view on trust, who built brands that stand for something well beyond just slapping panels on the roof as quickly as possible. Good Faith Energy out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area is a perfect example of this approach. They've built a reputation based on, as their name suggests, good faith dealings with their customers. Their founder, Mohammed Abdallah, has created a company culture where transparency and education come before the sale, and where the customer relationship is valued far beyond installation day. Mo started Good Faith Energy back in 2014 and has grown it into one of the most respected solar installation companies in Texas and the entire United States. What's interesting is how he's navigated the ups and downs of the market by centering his business on authentic customer experiences and relationships rather than chasing volume at all costs. Today, we'll talk with Mo about how to build a trustworthy brand in an industry that sometimes struggles with credibility, and why that approach matters now more than ever before. Welcome to When Life Gives You Lumens, Mo. We're really excited to have you here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And man, those are some big words to live up to. But we definitely appreciate it. And being recognized as a trustworthy business is always an honor. So really appreciate you having me on today, and happy to be here.
Well, you've earned it and you deserve it, as you know. I want to start with a bit of a big statement, okay? The highest rated solar company in Texas. That's on your website now. Over 600 plus 5-star reviews. Some guy on your site named who commented, Shamir S., he says, Good Faith, right? Their customer care, their integrity, their professionalism is second to none. So many solar companies out there came to our door with all kinds of misinformation. What does all that mean to you?
Yeah, it means a lot. And, for us to go out with a bold statement like we're the highest rated solar company in Texas, it's really around attempting to delight our customers through, like you said, a very authentic experience, and one's kind of centered around education and custom tailoring solution that really meets their needs, and has a lot of foresight and due diligence around, the jurisdictional requirements or the utility requirements or whatever have you. But, from a pure marketing perspective, Jason, like your unique value proposition should be on your header image. What makes you different, why you stand out among the rest. And when you really care about the client experience, and you go out there to say, hey, we're the highest rated, like, go read our reviews. We want you to read them. We want you to spend a little bit of time listening to our client base and reading about why they chose to work with us and what their experience was, not only on day one, but in year 1 and year 5, and throughout the entire relationship that you establish when you install solar and or battery or roofing system at their house. So it means a lot that clients recognize us and acknowledge the hard work that we put in to invent really what we believe is a good faith process to adopting a solar and battery system. And we just hope to continue to do that for years and years to come.
I want to dig into where this comes from, because I know you, but not everyone who will listen to this pod or other people will know you. And I know your authenticity and how you approach business, and we'll get into your story in a second. Um, but I deal with a lot of contractors who claim the things you claim. They talk about,
Yeah.
and you know what I'm talking about, right? It's
Yeah.
we're quality oriented. We've got a great process. We stand by our customers. It's, you can rip off the lines off of a website or ChatGPT, and I know that you guys
Mhm.
live this
Mhm.
truthfully, and because we've met your customers and we've worked with you for a long time. Where does this thesis, this approach for how you run your business and how you operate, where does that come from? Anything from your upbringing, your background? Like, why this approach? Why is this the way you're building your business?
Yeah, I was brought up to be taught that, being honest and having high integrity are the most important things in life. Like your character is what, people remember, and that's really the number one thing that you should strive for in life. Like be a good person with a good moral character, that does what they say that they're going to do, that doesn't deceive, that doesn't even know how to because it's not in their DNA. And so, um, you're right. Like you and I, we know each other on a personal level. You've seen our company culture and our employees, where like everyone is striving to earn that 5-star review, and not literally like on Google, but like a customer email saying, hey, leadership team at Good Faith Energy, every employee I interacted with from start to finish was of high integrity and a good, character. And I think that that's what I was taught as a child. My parents are first generation immigrants. I got to experience traveling, back to Egypt every couple of years throughout my childhood. There are a lot less fortunate people than us in the world. And if we have an opportunity, a great opportunity to do good and earn an honest income and living, that's what we should strive for. So definitely a lot of it comes from just my family and values and what I saw as a child and grew up with. But then also as I started to kind of um, mature and see how other contractors operated their business. And like there's a deep distrust between a lot of homeowners and contractors because many homeowners have been completely burned by a contractor in general. Now, the thing about solar is it's a little bit new and it's kind of like this shiny object, and a lot of homeowners haven't heard the pitch. And I think that actually gives us a greater responsibility to present the facts, because if you don't, like, it could actually ruin someone's life. And they could be in a situation where they end up in a pile of debt. They didn't qualify for any of the incentives that they thought they were going to qualify for. They may be needing to sell their house and losing a ton of equity in their home. It can have real damaging consequences on a homeowner when they are sold solar incorrectly. And you know, the more that I've seen how the industry's operated, honestly, the more I've been driven to make sure that that's just not who we are as a business.
You obviously have learned a lot of this over time, but there's a foundation from your childhood and your upbringing that clearly resonates through the life of your career and your experiences. I want to stay kind of earlier days for you and give you a chance to um, share a bit about your background and kind of how you came to the solar industry. Right? Why did you start Good Faith? How did you get to the point of building such a successful business?
I started my career in the oil and gas industry after college, and worked as in a couple of years as a oil and gas landman. I didn't really love my job. I didn't love thinking about contracts and how to maximize profits from leasing minerals or and land. I just wanted to align my work with how I envisioned the future of the world. And I kind of got into a rabbit hole. I was already into finance and energy and that sort of thing. And I just found and social impact. And so it just all kind of met at this, top of the triangle. point where it was like, okay, well, solar energy, this solar electric economy of the future, it makes a lot of sense. There's a ton of sunlight. There's a big push to move in an electric future and decarbonize. And I just felt like solar energy was really the pinnacle of that. And it sounds probably kind of corny, but really, 10, 11 years ago, there wasn't this kind of plethora of solar companies and sort of the unethical behavior that you mentioned early on. But in the beginning, for me, like solar energy business allows you to triple bottom line. You can make some money and be ethical. You can impact your community, and you can impact the planet. So if you can get all three of those through one business, like I feel like it's a win. Um, I started, volunteering with a couple of nonprofits locally just to educate myself on the process. Shopped for solar on my mom's home, and then from there just decided to actually install it myself with, hiring, different components and trades to help me. And decided, this is for me. I loved project transformation. I love seeing solar panels and battery packs and microgrids getting deployed. It's something that gives me a lot of pleasure and happiness. But that's really where it came together. Now the inspiration, I've had this conversation with a lot of people. They call it idea arbitrage. I was traveling, sort of going through this discovery process. I was in my early 20s. I went to Europe. I saw solar panels installed on rooftops everywhere in Germany, and that's kind of what led me to this point.
I haven't heard triple bottom line used in a long time. And as I was entering into the industry, it sounds like around the similar time you were, I used to think, and I still believe this, we're at a unique point in human history, in the arc of civilization, where you can do something that's environmentally and socially good, like truly good when done right, and make a lot of money, or enough money, certainly, to not be greedy about, but in some cases, a lot of money, even when done right. And I think that's this wave of renewable energy and sustainability and climate tech and clean tech and whatever you want to call it is actually a really special moment in human history. Now one could say it's because we created this problem, so it's kind of up to us to fix it, right? But I do think we're at a really unique point in human civilization where we have the knowledge, we have the capital, we have the technology. And sure, it's not as efficient as we'd want it to be, and our processes aren't as streamlined as we want them to be, but we're at a really unique moment in human history where we can do a lot of good things and still have a great career and opportunity to make wealth to, take care of our families. And it's pretty special.
It is, Jason. Yeah, I don't really have much to add to that statement because you touched on it all. But I mean, more than it, we have to fix the problem. It's that like this is, I mean, we need energy and we need electricity. And as a civilization, a human civilization, like what's the smartest way and the purest way of doing that? And I just think that solar energy makes way too much sense. Like the sun's hitting your rooftop, it's hitting all corners of the earth. Like capture that. If not, it's wasted. And I don't, wasted from a power and energy perspective, obviously, but like if you need the electricity in that area, like get it from the sun. And in most cases, like it's enough and more than enough for what you need.
Right.
And so like I think that the key moments in the last decade is the proliferation of energy storage and that dropping in cost and allowing people to now solve what was deemed to be the biggest issue with the power source, and that was its intermittency. So between the two, like the future is powered by solar and battery for the most part. We'll see.
Before we move off the topic, I do want to dig into you being an oil guy for a second. What was that day to day like for you, if you don't mind sharing?
It was a lot of like sitting at my desk and like blankly staring at like contracts and I think really quickly and early on my leadership team found that I was like people person. I had the social skills. So anytime there was like a problem with a homeowner or a landowner, they would send me out there to break bread, to meet with them. Like, I was young and had, high energy, and like to sit down and get to the, like, now looking back at it, it was, I think a problem solving skill set. Like, I knew how to sit down and really dig deep and figure out like what's the problem, and then like how do I like get creative to solve it and to achieve like their needs and my needs and the company. So I was really bored reading and kind of structuring contracts and pretending like I knew how to run title in the courthouse, or I knew how to even read the reports coming back to me. And I think that's what led me to really understand myself better and become more self-aware. Like, I'm not really built for this, because if I'm just coming to clock into a 9 to 5, then it's not. I'm going to look back at my life 20, 30 years from now and just be like, well, okay, well, I got a good 401k, but like, did I do anything impactful for the last like 30 years of my life, like truly impactful for future generations and for the future of human civilization? Or was I just kind of maintaining the status quo, because that's what society expected from me? So
Do you have an inflection
yeah.
point? Is there, because a lot of people in our industry, they started their solar contractor business because they either have an electrical background or a contracting background, or this was a natural fit.
Mhm.
There are plenty of environmentalists, and those businesses have been around a long time. I lovingly, jokingly call them solar hippies, and I say that with
Mhm.
love, truly.
Mhm.
But like, do you remember that moment for you, that inflection point where you're like, I am done doing this, and I'm gonna
Mhm.
go and
Mhm.
I'm maybe not talking about when you're on the train in Germany, because you've touched on that, but was there a
Sure.
moment in the oil and gas job that
Mhm.
catapulted you to take that reflective period?
Yeah. So if you know me, Jason, I've been fired from every job that I've had. So luckily for me, someone else made the decision for me, but I felt it all along. Like, I felt it all along. Like, the money was good, but like, as a person, I think, had the brakes slammed on me, and it was like, okay, I've always been a questioner by nature. If a policy didn't make sense, I'd kind of question it, or I'd have, authority sometimes doesn't like that. So I was constantly questioning things, but I was luckily let go, and from there, I got the opportunity to sit back, relax, reflect, move back in, with my mom, and have the flexibility really to just determine like what's the next move that I want to make in my life. I'm 23 years old, and every job I had, I got fired from Best Buy, in the printer aisle, right? Like, telling people to buy the wires from Amazon because it was overpriced. And so I just I I got this incredible opportunity to travel, and it sounds super cliche, but when you travel, you really, grow your perspective, and you see things. And I was in that inflection point, like you said, that stage of my life, this critical juncture. Like, do I go and try to find another job with an oil and gas company because that's what my degree says and that's what I went to college, and that's where I'm going to find steady work, or do I go out on my own? Obviously, a lot of people join the journey with you, which is an incredible, incredible accomplishment, and really a feel when you have a whole group of people that are moving in the similar direction. But that's what happened for me. I got fired. It's not a sexy story, but it really allowed me to reflect and figure out what the next step was in my life.
That's awesome. I'll share with you a similar story
Mm.
about realization in Europe for me. When I was in college, I had the good fortune to study abroad in the Netherlands, and that prior summer, I had done my first solar install. I was part of a small group that was selected to install the lowest ROI possible solar array on the student union center's roof. It was the low ROI because it was a pole mounted system
Mhm.
attached to the cement facade. So it was like
Mhm.
completely, it was all about education, right? But it was
Mhm.
completely useless of an actual project. And so I was pretty fired up at that point in my life. And then when I went out to Europe a month later, we had some free time in a city in Belgium. I mean, again, acknowledge, like, think of privilege. This was a very privileged opportunity for us. And I was totally green, pun intended. And they go, all right, you guys got like 4 hours to do whatever you want for the afternoon. So, half the classmates are either jet lagged or hungover. So they're like going to relax for a bit to go out that night. Other half is like, we're going to explore the town. And all of a sudden, like deep in the distance, I see like a wind turbine. And I had never seen one in person before. And I had just started learning about all the stuff about renewable energy. I'd been into, recycling and sustainability, and it started to click for me in that time in my life. I was, I think, about 20. But I'd never been in person at a wind farm before. So all the classmates kind of go in different directions. And there I am standing, I hail a cab, and there I am. And I'm like, take me to that spot. He goes, what? I go, that spot. You're going to drive there. And so, of course, we negotiate pricing. I go, we're doing a flat fee because I don't know how far it is, but I'll overpay you. But take me to that spot. And he literally just drives to that spot. We kind of go around the back corner. I'm like, please drive through the fence, the little bit of opening. So, and, I have this picture of me at 20 standing in front of my first turbine. And
Nice.
I don't know, there's moments like that, especially when you're traveling, especially when you're finding yourself, where things can become more clear in life in terms of purpose. And it sounds like, we had similar experiences in that way.
We did, man. That's yeah. So you fell in love with the sight of that wind turbine, huh? And you just had to get there.
I had to
That's
go
nice.
see it. I just wanted to stand in front of it. Like, how tall is it? How wide is it? Just there's something different about. I remember a year later, I went to PV America in Philadelphia, the biggest conference at the time, and I remember taking a tour of a 2 megawatt site on a landfill and just feeling like there were solar panels for as far as the eye could see, and that was, I think, 2009. So like that's big for Northeast solar at the
Oh yeah.
time. And
Oh yeah.
that was just wild, seeing it in person with some of these sites, probably some, I want to hear from you. Like, what's up with your mom's roof? How did that install go? Right. One of your first solar
Yeah,
projects.
well,
What
I'm
happened with
still
that?
here. I'm still here. So it went well. My mom's on her second house, with a second Good Faith Energy solar and battery system now with a span. So shout out to mom. She's always been, my biggest supporter. She talk about your upbringing, your background when you have parents, that believe in you. Maybe you faced adversity and you were able to get through it and you come out of it stronger. I mean, the lessons you learn in life are pretty critical to your development. So, I mean, yeah, moms are there to support us, man. The project's going good. She's got, like I said, if she's a 2-time customer now. So the first one went well.
She has some faith still in it, right?
She
I
does.
imagine it's not underperforming would be my guess, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's going good.
One of the things that here at Scanifly, we know you and Good Faith for is your creativity and your marketing and your branding. And it feels like you are always a step ahead of how to disseminate a message, but do it in a way that is that is digestible, but contagious in a good way, where you want to be part of it. It's fun, it's exciting. I think it's something that's special to you guys, especially as we know a fair amount of contractors in Texas, and we love a lot of them. A lot of them do different things creatively and in a good way, but you are always half a step ahead. I don't want to overstate, but it's really impressive, and we've loved that, and we've collaborated on some of it together. So I'd love to know, like, if you want to share some secrets, all good, but
Yeah.
more so, like, where does that strategy come from? What informs that approach for you? For example, why are you guys first movers on some of these things like short videos and YouTube and other stuff? Like, where does all that come from? What drives that for you?
Yeah, well, let me kind of start by answering this question with I take a lot of inspiration from other companies in the industry too. Like I look around and some of my peers are doing some really creative, great things. They may not have a big following, but they definitely push out good content. And I think one thing that's consistent across the board is the messaging. So like, what message are you putting out there? Is it rooted in knowledge? Like, is it actually something that is benefiting society and you're into whoever it may be? I feel like yeah, it like number one, it boils down to messaging. What are you putting out there? Is it consistent? Is it educational? What point are you trying to push across? Is it a educational video? Is it a sales one? Whatever it may be. I think new product launches, that's kind of like the half step ahead, like a new product or a new change in, maybe net metering in your area, or just anything that you feel like is relevant to the industry and what people are thinking about. And so I think a lot of it is just being in tune with your business, like what is happening from the market. Are you doing market research? Are you meeting with your department captains and even staff to hear about what they're hearing from the market? And based on that, you can tailor a lot of content. I mean, another metric I use is, when I create this piece of content, like, can it be utilized as a educational tool for my sales team? So if, like, over the years, I know that I'm going to get questioned, like, how do you install solar panels on a flat roof, or how do you install it on a slate roof, or whatever, different roofing type it may be. Hey, I'll go walk over to my marketing, team, and tell them I really want to start a how to install series, where, yeah, like, sure, some people might watch this and try to install it themselves. Like, cool, bro, like, only do that if you're going to start a solar company afterwards, because you're going to skip a lot of steps and you might end up doing it twice. But
Let alone falling off the roof. Let's just, let's just
yeah,
acknowledge the reality.
that's really the number one thing, right? Like, you got a 12-12 pitch on a slate roof. Like, we can show you how to install that. We've done that. And in fact, when clients come through the door, like, I can actually take that job on. I know exactly what it's going to take to install, and it's rooted in, like, construction. Like, let's talk construction, Mr. Homeowner, because effectively this is what you're asking me to do. I can distract you with a shiny object and offset and savings and tax credits, but, like, let's talk about how we're actually going to be able to execute the project. If you can't talk to a client about how you're going to execute their project, like, you're more than likely going to lose their confidence, their trust. And that's especially important for companies like mine that do a lot of inbound marketing. So I don't have, the door knocking team. I don't have an outbound call center, that's collecting data on homeowners and just pounding them on the phones. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with either of those two, not if you're doing them correctly. And so for us, it's especially important that the content we put out there is attracting new prospects that are like, hey, good faith, I watched your video about the DC expansion pack, and I actually installed my system elsewhere, but I want you to put in the three, expansion, whatever the case may be. You want to have a good creative branding, or good branding and good creative marketing that attracts buyers to your business. And ultimately, that's what your efforts should lead to. That's what keeps you in business. It's not about greed, and it's about, like, I want to stay here to continue to service the fleet of systems that we've installed. How can we continue to grow our audience and give them content that's engaging, that they're asking about, and see if it's producing any results.
It's still not easy to come up with all the fun ideas for the videos, and the other content. And I want to get your advice on this, which is, whether it's you or your team, and I know it's a combination, right? Because you have an amazing team who comes up with a lot of the content and executes it. You, the leader, the CEO, the founder, you still got to show up and bring the energy. And I know how many hats you wear, and you got a beautiful family. So how do you show up on film day or whatever it is and bring it, and do all that context switching and still represent the brand and represent your company and you in a way that is energizing and is infectious in a good way, and all of that? Like, how do you bring yourself to doing that with all
Man,
the things you tackle?
you should see the first video I recorded, Jason. It is actually hysterical. Okay. And I delisted it from YouTube.
No,
Okay.
put it back on. Bloopers.
Yeah, I absolutely should, and I probably will have it, like, chopped up in some way to just to get people out there to get a laugh, because you don't just wake up one day and know how to stand in front of a camera and speak to an audience. I mean, maybe for like a unicorn, but for most people, it's repetition, muscle memory.
Mhm.
How do you just get up there and remember, like, oh, I need to smile while I'm talking, I need to, and I think again, like authenticity is key. Like just be yourself. That's me at least. I'm not trying to put on a persona. I'm just trying to be educational because that's my style. Like I'm not that entertaining. I don't have like a bunch of jokes that I'm cracking during. I'm just really trying to educate you. So that if you are interested in how these products can work for you in your home, and you just so happen to live in an area that I service, I would like the opportunity to earn your relationship and install, the solar and battery system. So I would say number one, repetition. Doing it over and over and over again. Number two, be authentic, be yourself. Early on, like that first video I did, like I was the highest energy guy you could imagine. I was screaming into the camera, like yelling aggressively, right? Like, you want it, click the link now. So it was a little hyped up, and that's cool. Like that's who I was in my 20s, and I was in survival mode, and
Right.
and and so now I just try to be as educational as possible because I like, my faith, my values. They tell me that the knowledge that I pass down continues to uh, give me a higher bank of deeds, right? So like I'm benefiting from it long after I'm gone. And so if I can have content out there educating people, maybe they're watching it, in 50 years. Who knows? I'm gone and people are still learning a thing or two. And I think that's pretty awesome when you think about your content in that way. It's not just clickbait. It's not just to get somebody to, you know, I've tried that, but that's not who I am. I'm there to see if there's any little bit of knowledge that you can retain from my conversation that benefits you or someone else down the line. So yeah, man,
What
just
I'm
yeah.
hearing is that you don't want to be the Billy Mays of solar.
No, I'm not that, or
You're
the
not Mr.
Andy
QVC of solar,
Elliott,
right?
or I'm not the, I'm Muhammad Abdallah, or Mo, and I'm the solar guy. I want to educate you about renewable energies that I understand in my kind of little part of the market, and that's really what I focus on. I think people are attracted to that if that's what they're interested in, and that's who I'm trying to attract. Like, so continue to grow your presence organically. Again, because we're an inbound business, my organic traffic brings me the most money, right? It brings good faith energy, the most sustainability, because people are finding me and they're watching me, and then they feel like they sometimes already know me, right? They're driving into the office. They're like, is Mo here? Where's Mo at? And that's cool with me. I'll always, and then from a context shifting perspective, I think you have to really structure your week out properly as an executive. And the way I've done that through, a lot of lessons I've learned from others around me is just like meet with your department captains and have an agenda that you're reviewing. Have them, every time they bring you something in the middle of the week, it's like, can this wait for our weekly meeting, or is it an emergency type thing? um, and I make sure that if I'm filming, I'm branded. I'm maybe I try to trim the peach fuzz or something. You know what I mean? Just kind of like mentally prepare for that video in a way that I'm more presentable. I feel confident when I'm talking to the screen and with the message that I'm trying to convey. So I think all of those play maybe a subconscious role in how you prepare for quote unquote film day.
Yeah, those are good lessons.
I mean, I've done live segments on TV. Like those are stressful, dude. Like those are like you need a nap afterwards. It's a 4 minute live segment. I mean, I'd much rather be able to stand in front of a camera, talk, chop, edit it, add B-roll. It ends up working out.
Jeremy T
Mhm.
in Texas wrote, "We've maintained an amazing relationship and they are more than accommodating of our customer requests. I'd hands down recommend them for any of my electrical and energy needs." Right. So that's another 5-star review on your website. There are two things that stood out for me. Right. Because there are a lot of, you have, as we mentioned, a lot of 5-star reviews, but there was two things that stood out that I think were particularly unique. First, maintained an amazing relationship and accommodating requests. Maintained is a past tense,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And accommodating requests, right? This means you are talking to your customers after PTO, right?
Mhm.
You're staying with them, right? And the second thing that was interesting was any electrical and energy needs, so not just solar.
Mhm.
Both are a bit unique. Both are trends that we are seeing. Um, Probably see more of the first trend, ideally.
Mhm.
Can you speak to these?
Um, yeah, so the electrical and energy, this again, it kind of traces back to the whole this is a construction business and we're really an electrical contractor that hyper, focuses or specializes in solar and energy storage systems. There's a lot of people out there that can install solar on your roof. There's not many that can couple it with a battery backup system and understand, NEC and IFC and all types of different requirements that are going to be imposed by the local jurisdictions. Um, when it comes to like maintaining relationships with our clients, uh, there's a lot of different customer engagement strategies that we utilize. One of them is a Good Faith Energy branded application that integrates their monitoring system. It also allows them to fill out direct support tickets and send referrals or leave us a review if they wanted to. It also holds all their documentation for future needs. But I think really it's about like just being again a high integrity person. Do what you say you're going to do. After the installation's complete and you have PTO, you still maintain a level of communication. You do an orientation for that client so they understand their system and its performance and how it works and all the nuances associated with the production and the consumption and the state of charge and what happens off grid if that's the configuration. But um, you have to take care of your clients. You put a 25-year product on the roof, that's your number one form of marketing. If people come over and see that and ask, yeah, what was your experience like with those solar panels? If it's positive, like you're exponentially growing your verticals potentially with how many different lead sources, through customer referrals. I got Jack and Jeff and Jim and whatever else. They're all giving me leads from their neighbors and the people that they trust. Um, in this business, that's how you build long-term sustainability. You have to take care of the clients. You have to know what you're good at. So if I'm not an HVAC, I'm not a mechanical contractor. I don't do insulation, so I'm not going to attempt to do that for a client. I'm going to try to set and manage the best expectations possible for the system that they're asking me for. And if they start to kind of deviate outside of the range that we're willing to operate in, you got to pump the brakes a little bit and just tell them, tell them the truth. It's what I can
It,
do. It's what I can't.
it leans very well into a theory that I've had over the last 2 years, which is solar companies are not just solar companies anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They're home improvement or home energy companies, depending on how they want to frame themselves. And you guys have leaned into
Mm-hmm.
this, right? You're not just selling solar, you're not just selling storage. You might sell an EV charger one day, you might sell a roof another day, you might sell upgrades of different products, heat pumps, right? And so maybe day one is half of the house is solar. Day two is, or year two, year four is the EV charging. naturally you need to then expand that solar array, right?
Yeah.
And so you staying around for the life of the relationship, the life of the home itself, right? Like you're now not just being involved in negative complaints when service tickets come in. It's
Mhm.
checking in every so often to say, hey, new products coming out. Hey, has your electrical needs changed? And you
Mhm.
guys are positioned really well to capitalize on that expansion of your business's opportunities.
Absolutely. I mean, even through the app, you can, there's an eShop feature where you can say, hey, I want to, system health check, or I want to add more solar panels. My electrical needs have changed. I want to add a battery now because, I've done paying off the solar and I'm ready. So there's there's really such an incredible amount of a blessing that can come out of just treating people right. And I really do believe like the universe is full circle. So you treat them right. Like some of my clients not only are adding panels and adding batteries, but now they're buying their second home or their third home and they're coming back for their system. And like that's the best layup that you're ever going to score, right? And it's just someone who's already experienced your service, already, has gone through the process, already knows what this is going to cost, how much of an investment they're going to have to make. I think that's really special too, whenever you get to that stage of your business where customers are coming back for their second or third system.
There's, in an industry where people are paying hundreds of dollars for a good lead and
Hmm.
you're getting, hey, I just bought a second home.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
it's the
pretty
best.
good to keep the costs down.
Yeah,
I'd love to learn more about your Tesla relationship. You guys are,
sure.
uh, nationally renowned as, I'm going to say it, Tesla's best one. I think we might have a couple. So one of the best Tesla contractors. You were the
Politically
first one
correct.
that you were the
Mhm.
first one that we started having a
Mm.
relationship with. So I will
Yeah.
say, you guys set the bar. And in any conversation we have, you guys are really standing out in this way. So,
Mhm.
what's the origin of the relationship? What does it mean to you?
Yeah.
What's it about?
I got in with Tesla 2016, 17, early 17. I was attending a solar world conference that might age us a little bit in the solar world, but um, I met a guy that worked there, ran into him 2 years later. He had been working for Tesla for a few months. I was like, dude, like I'll get in, whatever you want me to do. Because at that point Tesla was highly exclusive. It was very hard to build a partnership with them, and so I got in as lowest level, which at the time was a certified partner in their home charging program. So someone buys a EV. They go to a website portal, they search their zip code, they find you, they call you, hey, come, can you give me a quote on installing a NEMA 1450 or a wall connector. And from there, it grew into a reseller that was kind of a Home Depot style energy efficiency store selling Tesla Powerwalls. And so I walked in during their grand opening and I was like, who's your installer for the Tesla Powerwall? And they're like, we don't have one. So I was like, I volunteered, and was like, I have this company. We already are in their home charging program. We have electricians on staff. We can install your power walls for you. So through that relationship, I became a certified installer of the Tesla Powerwall. I was still not a reseller, so I actually couldn't buy one and sell it. I could only install it for other companies. And then soon thereafter, that company went out of business. So like I reached out to my Tesla contact and I was like, who's going to be your new reseller in this market, right? So I picked up that relationship, and for several years, as of like early 2018, we were installing power walls throughout the market. Those were the golden days, because it was highly exclusive. So there weren't many people that could get their hand on the product, offer it to a client, and at the same time, we had our own challenges with sometimes the supply chain and what have you, but we kind of worked through all that. And then towards the end of 2019, I started bugging my account manager about the Tesla solar roof, which is, obviously the active solar tiles that Tesla manufactures, along with their non-active, metal and glass tiles that kind of can make up the Tesla solar roof. So we went out and got trained on how to install it. We installed our first one, in March of 2020, and have grown that business and made it more profitable since then. So
And the shingles
Tesla.
work? The shingles work?
Yeah, so first, like let me just correct you in the sense that there's solar shingles, obviously from GAF and from Certainty. Tesla's material is not a shingle; it's a tile, and so there's a big difference because it's obviously either glass or metal. I have a solar roof on my house. I pumped out a video. I'm surprised you haven't seen it, but it's 4 years with living with a Tesla solar roof where I really break down the data, and it's been, I mean, it's a 40-minute video, but 20 plus thousand people have watched it because it's very informative, and so for anyone interested in the data and like, does this thing actually work, can see that it does, and I have the data to show. As far as the economics go, I think the best way to frame the Tesla solar roof in general is that it makes sense for somebody either building a new home or replacing an existing roof that's damaged, more so a luxury roof because they'll receive more money for replacement value. And there are people out there, Jason, that and most of us really that believe that our homes are our most important personal asset, right? They care about look, maybe security, features, that they have this pride of appearance and how something looks. They're not panicking during or after a storm. So it's, invisible solar. And that's important to a certain segment of the population. And then some of these folks have to be reminded them that, like, if this is their 10, 15, 20-year home, that 80 or 100 or whatever thousand, tens of thousands of dollars that they're going to pay the utility is 100% dead money. It's a liability with zero return, and that money that they waste makes them a perpetual consumer rather than a producer and owner, right? Like, they're not, that money isn't earning them shares in the utility, right? Or shares in the infrastructure. They're not getting a kickback or a credit on their bill every year. Like, every time we have grid problems, everyone's bills go up, right? So the utility will just keep coming back month after month, year after year, asking for more, and that won't change until the homeowner makes a change and takes control. And I think that with Tesla Solar Roof, that a lot of people care about look, security features, tax credits, and they might expect to be in the home for a couple of decades, so it makes sense for them.
Well, send us over that video. We'll click it to the show notes. I have one more question for you, and I'd
Sure.
love to go deep on you for one more time. We've known each other for a handful of years now, and I'm continually impressed by your warmth, your personability, your leadership. I've gotten to know a lot of your employees, and I think very highly of all of them and the operation you guys run. Your company has a very clear culture. So how did you create this ethos? Right? Do you have a philosophy for your approach to this and to your role at Good Faith? Like, what goes into this for you? How did this come to be?
Mhm.
Is it your role? Is it what you do? Is it the people you bring about? But it's clear you guys are wonderful people running an amazing business. So how does that happen? How do you bring that to the table?
It's everything we talked about on this call. It's the character, the messaging that you put out there, not only to your customers but to your more importantly your employees. It's leadership by example. When your staff will respect you more when it's not just lip service, but in the I would say the practical and applicable decisions that have to be made in a business day in and day out. And when they see that you guys, do what's right for the customer, and you're truthful, and okay, yeah, we did cause that leak. Yeah, we will fix, the roof as well as the sheetrock and sand it and paint the everything and get it right. When they experience that through you day in and day out, they start adopting the same values if they didn't have them already. A lot of people, live in this fantasy world where, oh, you just hire, incredible employees. But I think that obviously people at their core, their nature is good. And when they come into an environment, they can be swayed either positively or negatively. So when they're swayed positively because of the decisions you make on a daily basis, because of the way that you carry and conduct yourself, by what comes out of your mouth and how you speak to them and speak to others. I think that mutual respect is our number one core value, followed by integrity, service, and excellence. And excellence is specifically utilized and not perfection, because there's no such thing. So like, there's going to be some people out there that maybe don't love good faith energy, and that's fine. Like, maybe we had a crossroads where we had to stand our ground and say, what you're asking us to do is unreasonable. But here's what we are willing to do to try to reach a mutually satisfactory resolution. And we really do try our hardest to do what's right. So that's the magic sauce, Jason. Just be a good human being with good character, and others will follow that example.
Thank you, Mo. We appreciate your inspiration, your leadership, your lessons, and most of all, you educating us not just on building a great business, but how you guys go about it. So can't wait for many more years of your success in this industry and taking us to the next place where it's going to go, and doing it hopefully in the way you continue to do it. So thanks
Hey,
for
and
everything. Thanks
quick
for having
shout
us.
out to Scanifly. You guys are no less incredible than GFE. Your entire team has been incredible to work with over the last, I don't know, how long have we been working together? 4 or 5 years,
5 years
maybe.
now, 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been an honor to be part of some of your pilots. You guys have really taken this whole customer centric approach, designed a tool that met our needs. Like, it's been absolutely fantastic to just grow that relationship, man, and see how your tools come along. So I just wanted to also say thank you. You guys are awesome. Can't wait to continue utilizing Scanifly for years to come. Anyone not on Scanifly, always be closing. Sorry, Jason, but you need to get on Scanifly. Like, what are you doing, bro? It's 2025. You're still climbing up on rooftops. Like, oh, get a drone, get an FAA Part 107 license, run a commercial drone program, save lives, higher quality designs, less mistakes on install day. It's a no-brainer.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
for that.
welcome.
I can't wait for another 5 or more years together. Hopefully many more. All right.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thank you so much, bud.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Mo.
All right. Take care, guys.